Welcome to Study Session 8, Evaluation and Employee Performance. Introduction. A common human resource practice in structured large organizations is the periodic evaluation of employee performance. In most cases, this employee-focused activity is conducted at a specific time of the year. The nature of the techniques used in assessing employees' performance can be either objective, subjective, or a combination of both. However, irrespective of the method of appraisal preferred, the goals of the exercise is usually to determine the extent to which employees' work-related behavior contributes towards promoting organizational effectiveness and efficiency. Our understanding of employee performance evaluation and management and how to implement it effectively has changed significantly in recent years. As recently as the early 1990s, performance management was merely another way of describing a more sophisticated performance appraisal system. Objectives. At the end of this lecture, you should be able to understand why organizations assess employees' performance from time to time, able to explain the various methods of assessing employees' performance. This was often implemented more to provide a rating to drive a pay result than as a series of processes which enable both organizations and individuals to focus effectively and in-depth on the creation and sustained development of a high-performance culture. Because jobs vary considerably, the level of objectivity associated with the evaluation process varies from job to job and from one industry to the other. For example, production jobs such as the number of parts of sachet water sold in a day, and sales job, quantity of items sold in a month, permit a relatively good measure of output, while the same cannot be said of administrative jobs like managerial level jobs. Why do organizations appraise performance? Organizations strive to avoid a situation in which employees will perceive unfairness in the actions taken by management. Since there is a high tendency for employees to assess management decisions subjectively, particularly those ones that border on personal issues, one way to overcome that challenge is to ensure that such personal decisions are contingent upon performance. Reasons for performance appraisal. 1. Administrative decision making. Rewards are what employees receive in return for their contributions to the organization. Factors that influence rewards include education, expertise, experience, and training. Others are degree of responsibility, job hazard, and physical demands. Because employees' contributions can vary, an important reason for evaluating employees' performance is to provide a fair basis for determining how to reward employees, such as compensation, salary, and so on. Punishments. Punishments are what employees receive for contributions that fall below expectations as written in the employment contract. Punishments for poor performance include demotions, salary cut, or firing. Promotion. Employees are evaluated using some criteria in order to determine who is qualified for elevation to the next higher level in the organizational hierarchy. In some organizations, such as in private sector firms, promotion may be based on satisfactory performance. But in the civil service, people are promoted when they have attained the specified minimum number of years on a particular level. In most cases, performance is not a strong factor in taking such decisions. 2. Employee development feedback. Performance evaluations not only help in revealing areas of employee deficiencies, it also creates the opportunity for correcting them. In addition, performance appraisal helps in identifying appropriate competencies to be strengthened and rewarded. This is because employees need to know when they are performing well so that they will continue to do so, and when they are not so that they can change what they are doing. Employees that are doing well can benefit from appraisal, as the feedback they receive can help them in doing better. 3. Personnel research. Performance appraisals are carried out for the purposes of organizational research in order to improve and maintain job performance. Workers' evaluation provides the data for some aspect of the human resource department functions. Such personnel functions may be enhanced by research findings. For instance, in order to assess the efficacy of a new work program, an experiment might be conducted in which one group of workers experience a new work procedure while the control group does not. Who appraises employee performance? A major problem that managers have to settle when preparing to assess employees' performance is who does the evaluation. Generally, the ideal person to appraise an employee's performance should be that individual that has a close working with whom the employee interacts within the line of duty. Authorities. Authorities in this context refer to individuals with responsibility for overseeing the jobs of other employees. In organizational settings, this class of employees are known by different appellations such as manager, supervisor, head of department. PS. This is the process of evaluation an employee's performance by asking another employee who works directly with them to do the rating. For example, a salesperson may be asked to rate the performance of another salesperson within the same department. Subordinates. This is a situation where a subordinate is asked to evaluate the performance of his or her immediate boss, such as supervisor or manager. The outcome of this type of appraisal is usually not objective and unreliable because of the fear of reprisals or other negative consequences if the boss is unfavorably rated. Customers. Those who are consumers of the services of an organization may be the ones to assess its employees' performance. For instance, in most universities in North America, student rating of a teacher or their performance forms part of a lecturer's job evaluation. Self-appraisal. Under this method, employees are asked to rate themselves or made to appraise their performance on the job. Quantity of work. This involves counting the number of relevant behaviors that have taken place within a given time frame. The number of units sold in a month, quarter, by a salesperson, and the number of bags of sachet water produced per hour are good examples here. Quality of work. An objective method for assessing the performance of some category of workers will be to determine how much their finished work deviated from a known standard. Here, quality is measured in terms of amount of errors in the completed work. Attendance. This method involves calculating the number of days an employee was absent from work and the number of days they were present within a specified period, and the figures are then compared. The number of days an employee came late for work can also be used in assessing performance. Safety. This is one method of evaluating an employee's level of success in jobs where safety is of great importance, such as in construction, oil and gas, and transportation industries. Unfavorable rating may cost the employee their promotion or bonus because their behavior led the organization to incur costs. Subjective methods of performance appraisal. Subjective measures are the most commonly used means of assessing job performance of workers. In most organizations, the human resource department acting through the supervisor or head of department, is required to complete performance appraisal rating forms for each of their subordinates on a yearly basis. Graphic rating scale. This is the most common scale for rating employee performance. It is constructed in such a way that it can be used to assess employees on many dimensions of performance. The graphic rating scale focuses on characteristics or traits of the assessee or his or her performance. Graphic rating forms are fairly simple and have 4 to 7 points accompanied by adjectives such as poor to outstanding with adequate in the middle. Behavior-focused rating forms. Behavior-focused forms assess specific instances of behavior that an employee has performed or could be expected to do. This is unlike graphic rating form that focuses on dimensions that are trait-oriented such as team spirit or on general aspects of performance such as attendance. For instance, an example of a good behavior would be this employee can be counted on to come to work on public holidays without extra pay. The rater's job is to match the individual on each of the dimensions of behavior. Although several types of BRF, including BARS, Behaviorally Anchored Rating Scale, MSS, Mixed Standard Scale, and BOS, Behavior Observation Scale exists, we shall consider only MSS. MSS, Mixed Standard Scale. This rating form was first proposed by Blanz and Ghezali, 1972, and the rater is provided with a list of behaviors that differ in their level of effectiveness. The statements are structured in such a way that the rater is required to indicate whether the rate is better than the statement fits the employee, or the employee is worse than the statement. A good MSS contains several dimensions of performance, each having several behaviors associated with it. Below is an example of 3 statements that reflect performance for the dimensions of relations with other people. Good performance. Is on good terms with everyone. Can get along with people even when he or she doesn't agree with them. Satisfactory performance. Get along with most people. Only very occasionally does he or she have conflict with others on the job, and these are likely to be minor. Poor performance. Has the tendency to get into unnecessary conflicts with other people. Note, each item is rated on the following scale. For each item on the scale, indicate if the employee is better than the item, as good as the item, worse than the item. Behavior Observation Scale. Originally developed by Latham and Wexley, 1977, raters are asked to indicate for each item the amount of time the employee engaged in that behavior. BOS differs from MSS in that raters indicate frequency rather than comparison of employee behavior. The number of times each behavior occurred is normally presented in percentage and ranked. Example of statements in BOS is shown below. Rater errors in the use of subjective methods. When using subjective methods to appraise performance, raters must deal with distortions that may interfere with the quality of the outcome. Errors may arise from raters' perceptions, attitudes, or beliefs. If such errors are not checked, they could invalidate personnel decisions such as promotion, transfer, pay rise, demotion, which are often based on data from performance appraisal. Below are some of the human errors that raters may encounter. Halo effect in the rating of 3 employees on 4 dimensions. Interpersonal relationship. work quality, attendance, punctuality. Leniency errors. This type of rater error occurs when everyone is rated favorably by the rater. For example, scoring all employees high across all dimensions of performance such as attendance, punctuality, interpersonal relationship, and work quality. Severity effect in the rating of 3 employees on 4 dimensions. Central tendency effect in the rating of 3 employees on 4 dimensions. Note: leniency, severity, and central tendency errors are known as distributional errors because it reflects the tendency of the rater to rate everyone the same. Study session summary. At the end of this study session, we were able to understand organizations assess employees' performance from time to time and also the various methods of assessing employees' performance. This is the end of study session 8. Thank you.